Everybody talks about making a difference, but how many of us actually do something about it? Well, today we're going to be exploring what drives some people to act on that instinct to make a difference. I've got with me Ira, Head of Delivery Solutions from Al Rajhi Bank, and I've got our very own Imei Chin, Finance Manager in The Jungle People. So, Ira, we had a chat earlier on, and you were telling me about your experience, going street feeding in the streets of KL. Can you tell me what happened?
Yeah, you're right. Me and my fellow colleagues from our region, we are very excited about it to go out and feeding the unfortunate people, But what happened in that night when actually we went to Jalan Sultan, when we first reached there, I myself went out from the car. You know what? Because I saw there's a lot of unfortunate people lying, and some of them actually just sit down there without anything, and they're sleeping without any cover. That's, my heart at the time feel like very, very, I can say like rotten, that I couldn't went out from the car. I just stayed in the car and like, oh my God.
So this was your first time?
Yes, my first time, because most of the time I'm just looking at the paper, at the TV. It's not really touch you in a way. You just donate and that's it. And whatever that you donate will be actually delivered to them. But you're physically not there to experience the feeling. This is what actually I'm feel.
So
when we
for
reach
you,
there.
I suppose in the beginning it was kind of a traumatic event in the beginning, isn't it? It sounded a little bit scary, because I suppose most of us don't really go down to the streets of KL in the dark of the night, in the little back streets and so on and so forth. So I can imagine how that might have been intimidating.
It's not really. It's more that you will feel that, oh my God, how fortunate you are, how fortunate your family, and you see there are people outside that don't have anything. Because here we are, every day we are thinking that to get a bigger house, to get a good car, but every day their life, they're thinking where to sleep. And with the hoping there's no raining at night. It's like really like, oh my God, I should bring my family, I should bring my kids so they can see other people how unfortunate they are compared to them. Exactly.
Well, just to be clear, Ira and her colleagues were graduates of our program called Keepers of the Flame, and one of the requirements of the program was to conduct a CSR, so to speak, a community project to make a difference. And the project that they chose to do was street feeding. So hence the experience that they went through. So Mei Chin, you've been doing this for a couple of months now, is that right?
Actually, I've been doing it for the last 3 years.
Wow, 3 years. That's amazing. So what makes you, spend every Sunday, is that right? You go on a Sunday? Every Saturday night?
Saturday lunchtime.
Okay, so every Saturday when most young people are chilling out, enjoying coffee and going out to town, spending time with their friends, we've got Mei Chin who's going street feeding. What makes you do that?
So I got to know about street feeding from a church member, and they were looking for volunteers at YMCA. And this is actually a collaboration between a church, YMCA as the venue, and also Kenosis Home. So Kenosis Home is actually a drug rehab center, and actually the food are being cooked by the drug rehab center people.
Oh, okay. So the people who are undergoing drug rehabilitation themselves.
So they actually cooked, the food is provided by the home, and they actually start cooking from the morning.
Okay, so that's very cool, but I'd like to know what makes you take part in that.
Right, so back in October, about 3 years ago, and I got to know about it, and they were looking for volunteers. I'm like, hey, I'm not doing much on a Saturday afternoon. Why not try it the first time and see what it's all about? And I went there, and people were there guiding me how to actually pack the food and serve them. And one thing that they have actually told us was that not just the serving, be their friend. Yeah, and get to know the people that come and eat, because you'll be surprised that they're not all of them are from the street. They're actually normal people.
So what was your first time like? I mean, we heard from Ira, and that sounded, a little bit traumatic, but in a good way. In a good way, it brought a lot of realization. What was your first time like?
So I've done street feeding before. I had a similar experience with it as Ira, and YMCA is a little bit more covered, and it's a little bit more sheltered in that sense, because instead of us going out to the streets, they come to us. They come to us, and it's the daytime, so you don't see the probably the part that you saw.
Outside,
yes, correct.
Yeah.
But we still get the people who are drunk. We get a lot of blind people actually, because we are in the heart of Brickfields, being in YMCA, and the blind people will come, and it's like a community center, where the blind come together with all the other people who may just want company. And besides eating, they are singing songs together, telling what happened in their last 1 week. And it's quite interesting when you get to know that while I'm here trying to slog in a day to day, they were just talking about things that are just comfort to their life.
I suppose that's an interesting point to note, that street feeding isn't just about feeding. So in your case, they came together and it was a platform for them to sort of interact with one another and not be judged in that sense.
Very much.
Okay, so Ira, you didn't spend the whole evening in the car, did you?
No, of course not.
So what happened after that?
I'm building my courage.
Right.
I strive to be strong enough. So on the next visit, where actually we went to Jalan Lekyu, this is where I start to pack, to grab the packers,
right,
and to start actually to walk with all the colleagues and start to deliver the foods.
Right.
And surprisingly, even they're actually the hunger people, but they are also concerned with their friends. When actually they knew that we are coming,
Right.
and then they start, tunggu, I want to wake up my friends. So they go and wake all the friends up, and then they start actually came to us, and that bag is actually very full, like compared to the normal.
Right.
Then I thought that they would not even can finish it because of the chicken also is a quarter big.
Wow.
But they finish it all. Finish it all, yes. And you can see that there's a moment is where that when I walk into the street, then I see this old lady with a very thin baju kurung lying down, sleeping. It's really, I don't have a guts to wake her up because I don't know what's the experience that they have during the day, because it's very sound sleep,
Right.
So I just like staring there, I think for a couple of minutes until this one, the leader
Right.
called me up. Ira, what are you doing, Tess? Just put the food there. I'm like, oh my god, I feel like very pity. I'm thinking that if let's say I have a shawl or the
Right.
jacket that actually I can
Put it
cover,
over.
because it's very cool night. I not even can walk that lady out.
So
I
it
just
was,
put there and then just walk by, turn around again and see, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
So it was
Just
a
like
real
that.
eye-opener. Huh?
Yes.
I suppose we get used to living in our little cocoon of wellness and pretending, or it's so easy to pretend that everything is okay in the world.
Yes.
and there aren't people like this around.
Because we know there is unfortunate people, but until you don't put your
Until you see it for yourself,
physical
yeah.
self, you
You
don't
see it
really
for
feel.
Yeah.
That's very true. So we're sort of insulated, I suppose.
Basically.
Okay, so I think I can relate to that, because when I went on my first street feeding, it was eye-opener, because there were some people that I did not expect to see there standing in that line. So my experience was a little bit different, because we didn't go out distributing. We stayed put, and they formed a line, and I think it was about 8:30 in the evening. They formed that line, and they would come and get food. And in that line, yes, you've got the stereotypical, homeless person and so on. But you also there was one guy from Thailand, there was some foreigners who were Caucasians in that line. And I remember very distinctly this auntie who spoke perfect English, right? And she's like, oh, thank you very much for the food. You guys were wonderful. Can I have a little bit of cabbage? And the beans don't really agree with me. She was obviously very educated. And I'm thinking, it could be any one of us in that line.
Oh my god.
Isn't that right? It could be any one of us. And because of that little, stroke of fate, it's not us and it's them. So I really do feel the gratitude that I can sense coming out from you right now. And that's brilliant. But let's bring this back to a more corporate sense, I suppose. why do you think that managers and leaders should at least make an attempt to make a difference in this manner? Mei-Chin, what do you think?
Right. So I think most of the time, like I said, we are so stuck with our work, and we don't even have time for any other thing. We are more about ourselves, and going for street feeding actually has opened my eyes and seeing that obviously I'm much more fortunate than any other people in this world. But it also teaches me that to be a little bit more not about myself, but a lot more about the other people. And it's the same with leaders and even with your team. It's not about yourself. When you're here to lead the team, it's about the people. How are the welfare of your people? And that actually took me and realized that while I thought I was helping them out, they were actually helping me out to open my eyes to see a lot more things that I have not seen it myself.
That's very cool. So Ira, you seem to echo that. How do you think this experience made you a better leader and a better manager?
You know, because of with the corporate leaders, they have more power than many people know.
Right.
So using that power, that actually they can bring all people from different backgrounds, age, and also the interest together. So they will unite and they will actually go outside, do good, you know, for the benefits of the community.
Of community or the society.
Exactly, but there must be actually someone have to stand firm.
Somebody's got to start the ball rolling, right?
Exactly.
You got to trigger it.
Yes.
And that's interesting because Ira basically pointed out, well, what Spider-Man said. Spider-Man said, with great power comes great responsibility. And unfortunately, most of us in the corporate world, we forget that sometimes, that we do have a responsibility to make a difference, not just to the organization, but to society at large. Isn't that right?
Exactly.
So, do you think it's made you a better leader in that sense, this particular experience?
Of course, you know what? Because of something that you yourself also, when as an employee, definitely you are looking to the company that always make a difference. Okay, that will be like if the company can dedicate their initiative, you know, to do good to the others. That show what? That reflect what? That reflect that they will actually take care of you as the employee. And when we actually translate to as the leader, you know, you want your staff actually to look you in that reflection as well.
That makes sense.
You do good, so you actually concerned about others, and they will feel if you sincerely do that.
That makes sense. So businesses shouldn't exist just to make money. Businesses exist in order to make a difference, right?
Exactly.
And that's also something that we sometimes forget in our chase for our targets and our...
Exactly, because I do believe that just selling a good product, selling a good services, it's not really enough,
Yeah.
you know, to attract the employee engagement.
Right.
I don't really feel that, you know. So, because I think the study also shows that the company who always do the good things through the CSR, to the society, they will actually be a choice of favorable consumer.
Well, and it makes sense in this day and age because I think a lot of the younger people that are coming out into work are looking for a place to work where they can actually make a difference or work with an organization that is actually out to make a difference and not just to make money. And that's the image that a lot of organizations are trying to portray right now. But whether they are actually doing it for the brand purpose or whether they're actually doing it for a true altruistic purpose, I suppose, well, who's to judge, right?
Yeah.
Who's to judge? So, where give us an insight of where you guys intend to take it from here. I know, and some of your colleagues whispered to me in my ear and they said, John, you know, in the beginning when we did it, we were going to do it for the sake of getting the certificate of graduation. Tell me what changed.
You know, it's really because of our common goal at that time actually to get that CD on the activity that we had in the Cameron Highlands at that time.
It was a CD of the program that they had gone on. And I blackmailed them with it and I said they couldn't have it unless they did the project. And then what happened?
And then, you know, not even actually we reached KL, we already start discussing where we want to do, where maybe to school, to the charity, to do what. And finally we choose this soup kitchen thingy. And when we start with all the activity from the morning up to the night, and we see the family who actually involved in this activity, they are really blessed, because they are not only do alone, they do, the family with the kids. And when actually they do the lack of all the electrical appliances, then whatever the ingredient that they're preparing is very in the menu mode, I can say. There's no chopper, and then no rice cooker, the biggest one. So even actually before we finish the activity on that day, we have a WhatsApp group that we already start say that we have to raise fund to buy them this all appliance, because they do this actually in a monthly basis. And we did. That is the yes, after the feeding, the one street feeding, in the immediate next week we already collect and buy. Yes. And some of us already committed for the monthly commitment.
Right.
And there's a few of us also from the Arajan Fellows colleague that they go
Awesome.
again.
Right,
And
that's brilliant. And Mei Chen, we've obviously spread this out in our company. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Right. So we do a lot of. We try as much to do as many CSR programs as we have. We've done the floods. We've done street feedings, and I've been with you.
Right.
But the idea is also not to just do it and go on myself. I've been sharing with the team and telling them how my experience is, and also to actually bring it to them that it's not about yourself. This world is a lot bigger than what you do every day.
So, I'd like to end this really interesting chat with 2 quotes. One quote is something that we believe in very strongly in the Jungle People. And it goes, leadership is action, it's not position. And I think we need to remember that it's not about the title on your name card, it's not about the position that you hold, it's really about the things that you choose to do that defines what kind of leader you are. The second quote that I'd like to share with you is from a person called John Moore. And this guy was an environmentalist from the States. But he had this quote that I think resonates with me at this point in time. And he said, in order to go inside, in order to truly go inside, you first have to go outside. And what that basically means is, if you want to understand yourself as a person, as an individual, as a leader, as a manager, you've got to go outside and find out what's really happening and experience that for yourself, so that you've got enough things for you to reflect on. With that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Chalkboard Chatz. Don't forget to log in for the next episode.